If you've ever been involved with E30s, whether that's owning one or looking to buy one, I'm sure one of the questions you would have seen to ask online is, does that E30 have rust in the battery box area? And clearly, the answer for this one is yes, it does. The rust was bad when I bought it 11 years ago, and it's definitely gotten worse over time. Haven't done anything to slow it down, treat it, fix it, but that's going to change now. We're cutting out a ton of metal off of the car, and we're putting in fresh new metal and getting rid of all of the rust back here. I have some pre-shaped pieces from Valcas Garage, and then just some blank sheets of metal that we'll use to fill in what we don't have already made. And definitely a lot of work ahead to tackle and fix this area. It's going to be a lot of different pieces coming together, but this is kind of one of the most drastically bad and visible rusty areas on this car. So I'm hopeful that once this gets fixed and put back together, that's really going to help just the overall feel of the car look a lot better. And you know, I think it's going to make a pretty drastic difference once I finish this job. So yeah, with that, it's time to start cutting out pieces, removing some paint, seeing how bad and how far this goes. Hopefully it should just be kind of contained to below, I guess, the body line, kind of where the bumper would sit. And then it'll go into the car a little bit. So we got a lot of pieces, but nothing up top and nothing structural with the frame of the car or anything we have to worry too much about. So yeah, time to start digging into it. Going through some of my pieces, this is going to be the outer piece. So that'll fix a lot of this rust in here. This is one of the pieces. I think it goes this way. I have this piece, which I think somehow sits on there and actually, I guess, keeps the battery off of the bottom. And then this last piece was supposed to fit where my tow hook is, but I think this is actually, this piece is for a late model where we're an early model, and it does seem like it changes the bottom of this rear piece, and it doesn't actually fit. So we might use some of it as scrap. If not, we'll just cut up our blank metal and fit it to shape. Just a few things left to get out of the way. Obviously, there's going to be some of the evap stuff with the gas system is going to be up in this corner. So we need to take it out anyway once we get around to our fueling system, but it's in the way for now, so we're going to get it out of the way and we'll be able to move on. Well, found some more rust. Look at that, the whole thing just broke right off. Broken. You can see some rust up top as well, so a lot of little spots probably going to pop up as we get junk out of the way. I really don't know how this car can continually surprise me by new areas of rust. Got all the evap stuff out of the way, and it made quite the mess, so I'm going to take some time, clean up my little area before digging deeper. And like I said during it, we uncovered a few new rust holes. We knew that was forming, but we didn't know it was a full hole. And then, can't see it, but there's another one up top. So yeah, a little bit more work than I originally anticipated, but better to catch it now. Next up, I'll work on zipping off these brackets that were added in before I bought the car to act as a new, floor for the battery to sit on. It just looks like I need a nut driver, and they're, every which direction, so it'll take some time, but we'll drop these bars out of the way. I haven't counted how many are actually holding these in. I think it goes two bars across and then one front to back. It would be pretty satisfying if when I get all of them out, it just falls down, but I imagine there's going to be some effort to get everything out of the way. This last one's covered in so much grime, I didn't even see it blend it right in with all of the rust. So this tray, I do think it was me and my dad who added just the, I guess, the threaded rods in there so that I could have a tie down for autocross. But yeah, the rest of the tray and the brackets on the bottom were there when we bought the car. Look at that big hole that's now on the back of this car. Made pretty good progress so far. Obviously, the tow hook area is still a big issue that I have to figure out. But this frame rail portion looks pretty good. Just a little bit, I think, of surface rust that will clean up where the spot welds kind of sat. Some extra seam seal to clean off of that section. And then obviously this piece that's hanging down here, we still have to go ahead and find the right spot to cut it off. I think it's a separate piece from here down. So probably just connect it on that inside. Yeah, it's getting there. A little bit to clean up, and you can see obviously I cut much lower than where my replacement panels sit, so I can either trim this piece up or trim my piece down. Basically, I just didn't want to mess up the cut on the first go, and then I'll see how far I have to remove some metal. Well, it looks like a mistake was made. So it's the correct outer panel, but apparently there is a late model and early model inner piece, and obviously I have the late model piece trying to go on an early model. I swear when I bought it, they weren't labeled, but yeah, looking back now, they are pretty clearly labeled on production years. So I did a little bit of measuring. It's about 3 inches difference in the back and about 2 3/4 in the front. So I think I can salvage it by just cutting a strip out of that piece, moving this panel up. I think that's going to be easier than trying to make a full piece, and then I won't be wasting all of that metal that I bought. So we'll just scoot it up, see how that goes in, and then obviously we'll have to get a big piece just to fill in this back spot where the tow hook pops out. And then there's still going to be a gap in the front, but that's okay. We handled that on the other side okay, so we should be able to make that over here. So I took a handful of measurements for basically how much I have to move the bottom panel up. And it kind of changes. It's a little bit more towards, I guess, the back of the car and a little bit less towards the cabin area. One thing that I do need to figure out is basically I have one tab here I need, one tab here I need, and then my cut line will start there. But then that opens up 1 inch or 2 inches here that then I need to extend this piece back. So not only am I going to have to cut it to move it up, I think I'm also going to have to cut it to move it out. Now, you might just ask, why not make a full piece? Well, I don't know how to make these indentations and a few of these other ones. I think are really just to give the piece some rigidity. So I'm going to try to salvage this one while I have the metal. I've already paid for it. It already has those ridges and bumps in it. Yeah, I'm going to try to see what I can do to salvage this piece. And luckily, they're pretty straight cuts. And I really don't have to make too many bends to get any new metal in. So I've decided to start kind of extending this piece all the way back. I figured this was kind of the first piece of the puzzle, and then once I have this, I still think I'm going to have to trim a little bit, but that'll help me kind of line everything up in the car once I start lining up and mocking up some of the other pieces. But this was the first one. I got the bends initially put in here, and then, I've just been tacking it in. Still a little dirty because I haven't gone through and cleaned it, but I might say that these are my best string of tacks that I've done so far. So maybe my welding is getting mildly better. Sometimes when I'm putting this together, I'm not really entirely sure what the battery box is supposed to look like because mine was always so rusted out. I never really had an idea. It's like telling somebody who's never seen a giraffe to try to draw a giraffe, but I think I'm getting somewhere. Just kind of marking up now on this lip that connects the two pieces. Some holes that I'm going to drill to be able to spot weld the two together. My nice bend on the back looks like it's going to be too far out. So there's still some bit to figure out when the car wraps around the back how this piece is either attached to the outer bit or, if there's a layer in there that I'm just totally missing. Like I said, I don't have anything to go off of, and I'm just kind of winging it to fill in the missing metal. So I'm at the point now where I just got to start getting metal together so I can see how it's really going to fit, what I might need to trim. Holding it up is only doing me so much good. So I'm going to use my self-etching weld-through primer. Just get this on the little bit that are going to put these two pieces together. So I've taped off a little bit further. It's okay if I get some overspray, but basically the idea is just to get those coated where they're going to, overlap, and I'll through not all the spot welds that I drilled out, just a couple to get it stuck together so that I can hold it up in the car better and see how it's going to go. So I'll just get this on, let it dry, and go from there. Still not sure if everything's fitting the way that I want it to, but I figured it's time to start putting in the inner piece for the battery box. A couple spot welds across the top, a couple more at the bottom of, that frame rail section that I put in the tow hook video. Get that in, and then I'll worry about this outer section. But yeah, this one, it's just a handful of spot welds. Hopefully they go together well for me, but yeah, not any long welding needed for this. Spot welds. And we'll worry about really tightening it down later once more pieces in this area are put in. I actually like how these are looking. Maybe one right in here needed a little bit more. But yeah, the handful across the top look pretty good. I think these down here are still a little too far away. It's maybe a bit more bending, banging that piece closer to the frame rail, and then I'll be able to get those. And then I have one in this corner that needs to get a little closer, and then some where this red clamp is. But yeah, first initial row of spot welds I'm actually happy with. So this panel is in, and I started cleaning up some of the spot welds, but now I'm gonna get this outer panel in, but you can see my cut line. I was well below it, so I'm gonna go back, trim towards the line, and then the piece that's on the table we'll be ready to hopefully have enough clamps, but clamp it into place and maybe get a couple tacks just to lock it into place. I still have to kind of bend the bottom of it because it just doesn't really fit nice on this panel. So a little bit of test fitting, a little bit of bending, but I'll get that outer piece in here shortly. It's at a point where I'm just ready to put this outer piece on. Okay, lined up here. Okay, lined up in the front where this indent is. I have to either add a little bit of metal or just, I don't know, fit another patch piece there, but that's looking okay. It's hard to see, but the far piece in there, it's flat against, but this side piece, there's still a little bit of a gap. You can kind of see it in there, but my hope is that I can just use a hammer and smack those two pieces together once I have it nice and sturdy on the outside. It's been a little while since I've checked in with a progress update. You can see this corner's coming together. I wasn't really happy with how this was going in as one piece. I just couldn't get the shape right. So I decided to basically, you can see, break it down into 3 pieces. This was the easiest one, really just square, rectangle, a little bit of a misshapen, I don't know, trapezoid. There's a few little blow-throughs occasionally that I'm gonna have to go back through and patch up. Still a little bit to do, but it's coming together. I think one funny thing with this, with the bottom kind of all the way across, you know, it's straight, straight, straight. And then I think I just kept extending it down a little bit. You can kind of see from this angle, this is supposed to be the bottom. So I have a lot of overhang on this piece and maybe a little bit over here. Basically, I notched this piece and I'm bending it under because it's actually gonna attach to the bottom of the tray. And then I'll probably go through and just take this at a slight angle to shape it into the corner a little bit better. But yeah, it's coming together. A lot of cleanup that I'll have to do to make it look mildly presentable, but it's almost, you could say, weather sealed. Well, I think that's where this video is going to end. Feels kind of crazy having a battery box in place. There's still a lot of kind of finishing details, but I could probably spend a whole another month working on that. I hit it with just some epoxy primer so that I can kind of see better the different levels of the welds that I still have to clean off. Clearly, there's a lot of unevenness that I still have to work through, and then 1 or 2 pinholes, one there, one on this side. Still have to kind of smooth down the inside of the battery box, but again, it's not really going to be a visible part, so I'm less worried about it. A little bit more welding to do, but just fine little details that, like I said, probably take me a long time to kind of get it to a final state, but this is the battery box in. It's in a pretty good spot. I could probably even test put a battery in it. Yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of fun just flipping back and forth from my before and afters on this one. You know, looking at it now, it's like, it doesn't look that great, but when I think back to just the lack of metal that was here and all of the rust that I had, I think it's a pretty big transformation and just one more piece to make this car slightly better. So yeah, I'll keep working on this one off camera and then get ready for the next repair. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but there's plenty of work to go. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed following along on this repair, and thanks for watching.